We are now through 3 weeks of the fantasy football season, and trends have started to establish, some of them not so favorable. Today, we are going to debate whether you should be hitting the panic button on 8 different players. Fellas, let's start with the name that everybody is probably rightfully worried about after week 3 of fantasy football. It's Ashton Jeanty of the Las Vegas Raiders. Currently, the running back 32 in half PPR formats after you spent a top 15 pick on him in fantasy football drafts this year. We pulled you all over on our Instagram where you can participate in this every week. FFLs over there. Shockingly, people are right around like 55, 60% on the panic meter. Cameron, I don't know about you, but to me, I think like the people are kind of on copium here.
I'm getting close to where the people are at in terms of where you're drafted him, right?
You're close to the people. I'm ahead of the people.
Yeah,
I'm ahead of the people on this.
I might be ahead of the people too. I'm probably where they're at, maybe a little bit ahead of them, just because seeing a top 5 season from Ashton Jeanty to seeing a top 7 season just doesn't feel like it's in the cards unless things change in a hurry. The offensive line has been abysmal. Lucas, you sent out a tweet yesterday about the Houston Texans offensive line. This Raiders offensive line is giving them a run for their money as the worst offensive line in football right now. The good news for Jeanty, 100% rush rate inside the 5-yard line. One of the few running backs that has that. 4th highest missed tackles forced per attempt, but it just doesn't matter. And when the offensive line is that bad, you can only do so much. And he's also, we talked about it with Nick Chubb in the past, Derrick Henry in the past, guys who just don't have that receiving work. That's where he's at. He's only ran 16 of 34 routes in week 3, which is just not what you want to see if we're struggling to just get things going on the ground. He's shown he's an extremely talented running back. It's just the situation and the way that you're using him right now is not reflective of, hey, things are going to change and give you that top 7 upside rest of the season.
It's negative yards before contact. He can't even get to the line of scrimmage right now. Negative yards before contact in the ground game this year. And I think the thing that's killer here too, Ty, before I kick it over to you, is I anticipated before the season, hey, he's going to be a top 2 playmaker on this offense, so they're going to want to get him involved in any capacity possible. That included the receiving game. Currently right now, per Hayden Winks over on X, 6% target share this year, ran sub 50% of routes in week 3, Ty. So if he's not getting it done in the ground game, he's not even getting involved in the passing game. I'm with Cam. Like there's no way to barely a top 15 finish here through 3 weeks, it seems like. And the people are sitting at 55, 60. I'm up at like 75% probably.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm right at like that 70, 75%. And I kind of hinted at this at the beginning of the year, and I am going to be fully transparent. I didn't think it was going to get to this extreme where we only have 3 catches on the entire year in 3 games. We're averaging just 1 catch per game. And it's the other part that's worrisome for me is that there have just been 0 signs of things really improving in either category, rushing and receiving. There is not a desire. There is not there's nothing that Chip Kelly is doing to set up Ashton Jeanty in the receiving game or in the running game. It is very basic right now. And I don't know how you can sit through 3 games of Jeanty so far with the capital that you spend on him and go, we're fine. Like he's a rookie running back. It's going to get better. It is some really, really dark hours right now.
I will say, I just want to jump in quick and clarify my position. I still think he's going to end up as like a top 15 back. I just don't think the days of running back 7, because I think he's just going to get enough usage in the run game. That's where it comes from. I think it's going to get slightly better, but it's still going to have these gross games of 6, 5 point games. So I think he's a talented enough back where we can see a top 18, 15 finish. I just don't think he's going to return on that where you drafted him at.
So you would go out and buy low on him right now? I don't want to do like a sneak peek into tomorrow's episode. I don't even know if you both are going to talk about Ashton Jeanty tomorrow, but would you go out and buy low on him right now? Because
the issue is buying low. You're probably still buying him as a top, that top 15, 20 back. Right?
You're buying him as a top 20 running back. Like
so
you're not
still paying.
Like
you're not truly buying him low for where I think he's going to be. Like you're buying him low versus where you drafted him, but you're buying him kind of at his ceiling right there.
Ty, you have any interest in investing right now? You think it gets any, like, do you think it gets better enough where it's worth investing right now through 3 weeks?
No, because let's put specifics on it. The only way it gets better is if he starts finding the end zone or if he starts getting receiving work. Because I don't think with how the offensive line is playing right now in Vegas that we're going to start getting chunk gains or that we're going to get some breakaway runs. Like it's going to be very few and far between. I just, again, the price is going to be too hefty for a guy that before Monday Night Football, he's the running back 23 in usage. So you're paying up for a guy that is getting just what I will call very minimal work, even though you see the numbers and you're like, that's a lot. It's just a one-way street. It is just you are running the ball. That's it.
I think the touchdowns are the most important thing you named there, Ty. The Raiders are only averaging 17.6 points per game this year. That's not exactly a high-octane, high-scoring offense this season. Looking ahead to the fantasy playoffs as well, again, Hayden Winks put out a phenomenal tweet. If you're not following him, you absolutely have to. But he also gets the Eagles and the Texans in the fantasy playoffs as well. Not great matchups for a bad offensive line that we don't anticipate getting a buttload better by the end of the season. Look, we teased our trades episode for tomorrow. So if you enjoy fantasy football content, make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell as well, so you know when all of our newest episodes are up. We just hit 5,300 subscribers on the channel, so thank you all for that. Our goal is, yes, to provide you fantasy football insights that we're collecting to beat our league mates, but we're 3 dudes who just love fantasy football and want to provide you some fun and remind you of the camaraderie that comes with the game of fake football along the way. So appreciate if you join us here on this little journey that we're on. But let's transition to probably maybe the second hottest name out of the week, fellas. How about Ladd McConkey of the Los Angeles Chargers, right? Again, I'm just going to quote Hayden Winks all day because holy cow, he's just been putting out some banger tweets recently. He put out a chart this week of teams that utilize their wide receivers most so far this season through the first 3 weeks. The Los Angeles Chargers were number 1 so far through the first 3 weeks in wide receiver utilization, yet Ladd McConkey hasn't given you more than 10.5 half PPR points this year in a single game. Cam, where are you on Ladd McConkey? Do you think there are better days ahead here, or are you a little bit higher on the panic meter?
I think there are better days ahead. He's a guy that I would go and buy low on just because you're watching this Chargers offense and Justin Herbert looks really, really good. And I love Keenan Allen as much as the next guy. Well, I probably love Keenan Allen more than the next guy.
You love him more than the next guy. Yeah.
If we're being honest, QJ has been awesome. He's one of those guys that's fun to watch because everybody wrote him off.
Love being wrong on him.
And it is fun to just see a guy, come back into his own. But at the end of the day, Ladd McConkey is the most talented wide receiver in this offense. He's still seeing a 20% target share. He's still seeing close to 70% in snaps in the slot. So they're still using him. It's just the efficiency has been down. And I think as the season goes on, love Keenan Allen, like I said, but he's going to wear down a little bit. These huge plays to QJ aren't going to be there every game. The one constant, the guy that's going to be consistent is Ladd McConkey. And I think we're going to start seeing that as the season goes on. He's just not getting these huge plays. So when he has a game, like this last one where he only gets 7 targets, you don't get anything that's like 50, 60 yards down the field. And since he doesn't have it, if you threw in a touchdown, those touchdowns to Keenan go to Ladd all of a sudden, right? You're feeling completely different. You're like, holy cow, this guy's still a top 10 wide receiver, but he just hasn't had them. They haven't gone his way yet. So I'm still confident in Ladd and would definitely capitalize on trying to buy low here.
Ty, any concern for you that Justin Herbert threw the ball 47 times in week 3, yet Ladd McConkey only gave you 4 for 41 and 6.1 total fantasy points this week?
Sure, maybe a little bit. That we're now 3 weeks into the season, and again, Quentin Johnson has kind of solidified his place now in this offense. Keenan Allen is much more of a mainstay than we kind of expected. And the other weird thing, though, is that when they are in 2 receiver sets, it is Ladd and Quentin Johnston, and they are bottom 5 in 11 personnel and using 3 receivers. But it seems like whenever they're throwing out of 11 personnel, it is going to Quentin Johnson and Keenan Allen. So I don't know if I would say I'm concerned, but I'm confused at this point of just like, why hasn't it gone to Ladd McConkey? Like, and the frustrating part then on top of it is that, well, the Chargers are still winning. So there's not exactly a dire need or desperate need to start trying to get McConkey the ball more. So I agree with Cam in the sense that it's like you're just gonna have to take the punches on this one. You're just gonna have to kind of roll with it. But it's far too early to say, yeah, like I'm full blown panicked. I need to sell. If anything, it's a buy low opportunity because I think eventually we will get a game where it is the McConkey show, and everyone's gonna go, "Oh right, yeah, McConkey really good at football."
That guy. Yeah, that guy is good at the football thing. Yeah. This is one that I'm trying to convince myself to take an AJ Brown stance on, right? Where we talked about him last week, and I'm like, this is the easiest buy low opportunity. It is the ultimate buy low opportunity. People won't even trade a Mekhe for AJ Brown. And I mean, Mekhe has been phenomenal. Do not get me wrong, but AJ Brown also comes out this last week, and you're like, oh, yeah, AJ Brown, he's very clearly the alpha in Philadelphia. I can't get there with McConkey because I don't think he is the like ultimate alpha within the Chargers offense per se. But I have to imagine the course corrects itself here, where instead of getting 3 straight really good QJ games, we start to get 2 good McConkey games. It's like, okay, you know what? A down week, you got to make sure QJ and Keenan stay involved. But then it's like 2 more McConkey games. I just saw too much at the end of last season to sit here and think this team can't get him involved, or like he fell off a cliff. He's hitting a massive sophomore slump. To me, I think the talent's going to help correct the course here. So yeah, I think I'm with you both. I'm sending out buy low offers on McConkey. I wonder if people are actually a bit more concerned than the meter is letting on here. If you got someone that you know is panicked in your league, go ahead, throw out a trade offer for McConkey this week. I think a player people are rightfully panicked on, though, fellas, is T. Higgins. We're sitting right around 75% on the panic meter from the people on T. Higgins. Tyler, I'll start with you on this one. Rightfully so. Should people be panicked on T. Higgins after getting absolutely dog walked by the Vikings this last week?
Absolutely dog walked. I think it's worth clarifying. That's not going to happen every single game where Jake Browning and the Cincinnati offense have 4 fumbles in the first half that they, again, are going to constantly be under duress because of a Brian Flores defense. I think to put that as, or to make that for the entire sample, right, for the rest of the year, to think that's exactly what we're getting from Cincinnati, I don't think is the right thought process. But at the same time, I can't help. I have to think that this offense needs to consolidate just a little bit. And by doing so, you're going to give Jamar Chase the ball, and you need to give Chase Brown the ball because you need to have some kind of run game, despite how awful that run game is as well. Right. But for T. Higgins, man, he is now, I kind of called that he was kind of low wide receiver 3 before week 3, kind of in that flex territory. And man, if you don't have a 4th option behind T. Higgins, it's time to go find go find a McConkey to hopefully kind of take his place, because I don't think there's anything to rely on that you can bank on with T. Higgins at this point with Jake Browning.
I think I'm willing to give T. Higgins one more week with Jake Browning, because the Minnesota Vikings are a terrible litmus test in terms of the barometer in which a backup quarterback especially, could succeed, because Brian Flores is just a psychopath in the play sheet, right? He's mixing up looks every single time. For a guy like Jake Browning, he's not going to face an absolute nut like Brian Flores every single week, Cameron. So where are you at? I think in that I'm sitting probably like 60 to 65. I'm not saying that people are wrong necessarily, but I think I'm maybe willing to express one more week of patience before I hit that like 80% mark.
Yeah, I'm probably closer to like 40, 45. I'm not overly concerned. If you watch, like during the game too, Isaiah Rodgers made a fantastic play on Higgins. Higgins catches that ball in the end zone. He gets it's a 30-yard touchdown. We're talking about a 13-point week. So there's variation, stuff like that. T. Higgins was a guy though that we were talking about was going to have high weekly variance week in and week out. You knew that if you took T. Higgins, and now it's just even more extreme. Maybe you don't quite have the ceiling, but you have to realize, hey, this 2 points, this 5 points is in the range of outcomes as long as Jake Browning's a quarterback. However, because of the way he's used down the field, because of how good him and Jamar Chase are, he still has the upside that we're going to see week in and week out. So I think that you still have the same T. Higgins. You just have to realize, hey, the floor on those bad weeks is 0. Like the floor is bad, but he's a good enough wide receiver 3 in the flex where I'm not going to sell on T. Higgins because I don't think I can get a guy who has the same type of ceiling, who's going to have the same over, the full year stretch in that wide receiver 3 spot.
Yeah, I think that's fair. You knew you were going to get high highs and low lows with T. Higgins, right? I mean, he's probably like Nissan Sentra, AJ Brown, right? Or it's like AJ Brown. AJ Brown, we knew we were going to get. Hey, he's not the Ultima. He's not the Maxima. He's just the Sentra, right? he's definitely a downgrade of a vehicle.
Lucas is in his Nissan bag here. Just
hey, once upon a time, my first car was a Nissan Ultima. Fun fact. So there you go. No, but I think that's a fair way of looking at it, right? Now it's just with Jake Brown, you're going to get even more high highs and even more low lows. So it's tolerance, right? Ty, I think I'm with you. If you don't have much wide receiver depth behind a T. Higgins, it's probably worth going out and bolstering down your wide receiver room a little bit more, but buckle up because it's going to be a roller coaster. That's just the unfortunate reality of this. It's going to be a roller coaster. I don't blame the people for being at like 75%. If you think you can get out of T. Higgins for a reasonable price tag, I don't blame people for doing that. But again, I just don't think Brian Flores is a good litmus test in terms of what we can expect week in and week out from the Cincinnati Bengals offense.
Can I just say one more thing here?
Yeah, please.
It's still weird to me that Noah Fant and Mike Gesicki have combined for more targets than T. Higgins.
Yes.
Like,
that is bizarre.
They never utilized tight ends in the past, and now all of a sudden they're trying to do that this year. And I just feel like Zach Taylor should be smart enough to go, okay, maybe again, when I mentioned the consolidation to getting the ball to Jamar Chase, maybe it's taking some targets away from the tight ends. You obviously want to spread the ball out and you don't want to be too predictable, but like, let's stop trying to get cute with it and trying to get Noah Fant to be a thing. And let's just start getting our best players the ball.
Okay, I do want to ask one more question now that you bring that up. How much longer are you waiting on T. Higgins before you're like full out smashing the panic button? You're up in that like 85-90% range. Because part of me also wonders if they do go out and try and still shop the quarterback position.
I would give it like 2 weeks max. I think 1 week is fair. I would give it 2 weeks max.
Where are you at, Cam?
Well, they play the Broncos next week, so it's probably going to be a rougher one.
Again, not a great barometer because you don't get Brian Flores and Pat Surtain every week. Pat Surtain will be shadowing Jamar Chase most
likely. Green Bay over their next 3. So,
that's abysmal.
I think I'd give it probably two weeks. So I do think at the same time though, you got to make your call now because if you give those 2 weeks, if it gives you those 2 weeks and it goes bad, you're not getting anything for T. Higgins. Then maybe he's a true buy low of like, it's abysmal. Nobody wants him on your team. But if you are like, I think it's going to get bad, now would be the time that you get off of T. Higgins. I'm not ready to do that. I think I'm going to try and weather the storm. That's where I'm at with him. But I do think if you're, hey, I think I'm going to be at that point, this week's probably the week to do it.
Really want Jameis to be a Cincinnati Bengal, man. Do you know how much fun that would be? Do you know how much
that would feed generations?
Literally generations. So Zach Taylor, if you're listening to this, go ahead, talk to the GM, and let's get Jameis in a Cincinnati Bengals jersey. Like literally, Eye of the Tiger was made for Jameis Winston to be on the Cincinnati Bengals, 100%. Okay, let's move on to not Maserati Marv. I believe it was Underdog put out a tweet today. Mitsubishi Marv, excuse me. Sitting right around like 70 on the panic meter here from the people. And I find it ironic because after week 1, we did a hot takes reactions episode to week 1, right? And people are like, oh, Marv, he's here. Yes, this is what we want to see. We haven't gotten it for 2 straight weeks, fellas. And it's really starting to feel like the pattern of last year. We get a good game from Marv, and then all of a sudden it's like, I can't get more than 6 points out of the guy. He's hardly startable week in and week out. Again, a guy you spent mid-3rd, early 4th round draft capital on. I'm fine with being with the people on this one and saying 70% because as much as we thought it wasn't going to be copy and paste from last year, it's starting to look like that in the passing game where Kyler and Marv just aren't on the same page. Mental mistakes from Marv, a pass hitting him right in the chest, going right through his hands. It's just frustrating to see, man. I know there's an aspect of James Conner involved here too, but Cameron, I'll start with you here. Where are you at with Marv?
I'm not quite as panicked as the people, but I'm more panicked than I want to admit because Kyler looks really bad and Marv doesn't look very good either. And the mix of that is not great. And a player we're going to talk about at the end of the episode is kind of in that same situation right now, except Marv doesn't have last year where we can go, but hey, look what he did there as kind of a, this is what we're reaching for. This is, like you said, this is copy and paste. It's 2 years in a row. I still think he's extremely talented. Something's just missing here. I'm okay.
A good quarterback? Is that
or a good play caller?
A good play caller.
Okay, we could throw some of this on Drew Petzing too.
Yes. An early season firing wouldn't be bad. I never want to call for a guy's job, but
no.
In this situation I do. But anyways, it's just, I don't know. I maybe it's just blind stupidity of wanting to hold on to Marv and wanting to keep this going. So I'm probably closer to like 55, 60. So still high with the people. It's just hard to see what the upside is, right?
Yeah, that's what it is. It's so hard to see the upside here for Marv Ty. Hey, you said Drew Petzing is probably to blame here too. I'm kind of with you because golly, I don't understand what's so hard. I understand you got Trey McBride in the middle of the field. I understand it's important you get him the ball. I understand Drew Petzing loves the utilization of tight ends within his offense, but my gosh, can we get Marv some of those easy crosser over the middle of the field touches just to get the ball into his hands and watch him go to work? Why do we have to make every, I don't know, maybe that doesn't even help because he can't catch the simple ones, Ty. I don't know. Give me your 2 cents here. Where are you at?
There was a tweet from Josh Norris replying to a comment, and this will make the soccer fan in me a little happy because the comment was that Drew Petzing is the Gareth Southgate of offensive coordinators. And if you know anything about soccer,
nope,
you know that Gareth Southgate is like brutal. I know you guys don't. You guys care less about soccer, but what that tweet is essentially
WWE terms for me.
Petzing
we'll
is who's a WWE superstar that is constantly booked to
Sheamus.
never the only one that is constantly booked to always win but never like dominate, that they are always kind of given the
Jey Uso, sure.
Anyway, the point of the tweet, gosh, that was a horrible.
Can you put it in football terms?
We went from soccer to WWE, and we might as well just go to baseball now. Drew Petzing, maybe I'm oversimplifying this. Drew Petzing calls plays to not lose games.
Oh,
sure. He doesn't play. Yeah. He doesn't call plays to win because if
best friends Shane Waldron.
Oh, probably. Well, no, I don't want to go that far. I feel like that's a step too far down that's just an unnecessary shot to bring Shane Waldron into this. But all that to say, if Drew Petzing really wanted to like dominate in games with his offense, he would be using Marv more outside of the X role and be using him more in the slot, or again, these big kind of crossing routes, all of those different kinds of things he would be doing more often. So for me, I understand where the panic is for people, because the people that bought into the hype of Marvin Harrison Jr. taking a step into year 2, you're like, well, what the heck? Why is this not happening? For me, I have my concerns about Kyler Murray. I have my concerns about the play calling with Drew Petzing. That this isn't too shocking for me, but I can understand the panic again, where I'm like, if I were to have Marv on my team, it's kind of similar to Higgins, where I'm like, I hope I've got receiver depth, because if I don't, I might be SOL.
Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Underdog, where you can get into the game this season playing Pick'em. It's extremely simple. Just pick higher or lower on 2 or more of your favorite players. For example, I'll pick the highers on Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, and Xavier Worthy. If I played $10 and got all 3 of them right, I would win $60 just by watching football. And that's the beauty of Pick'em. You can track your picks and your wins while you enjoy the game. Now, if you're not on Underdog yet, scan the QR code on your screen or use our code FELLAS when you sign up, because new customers will get $50 in bonus funds when you play your first $5 on the app. Plus, Underdog will give you a free pick to use in your first entry. Again, that's code FELLAS over on Underdog. Now let's get you back to the rest of the show. All right, fellas, let's move on to another rookie running back here. RJ Harvey only has 13 carries so far this season. He is getting outworked by J.K. Dobbins. It's not really close right now. I'm honestly kind of surprised that people are only at like 60% on the panic meter. I expected more people to be closer to that like 70 to 80% range. And I understand we need to practice patience with these rookie running backs. But Ty, I'll start with you. You brought it up yesterday. It's like, well, can we get some more RJ Harvey, J.K. Dobbins not having a great day? And then you blink, you look at the box score 15 minutes later, and it's like, oh, 13 attempts for 41 yards and a score. Like, it seems like J.K. Dobbins just has a stranglehold on the lead job right now, and he's not letting RJ Harvey in whatsoever.
Yeah, it's definitely a little shocking because I don't think any of us really expected J.K. Dobbins to have as big of a hold on the backfield as he does. In week 2, this is worth noting. Denver did kind of take Tyler Beatty out of the rotation, but all of those Tyler Beatty snaps went to J.K. Dobbins. They didn't go to RJ Harvey. So, yes, like, glass half full is that it's a 2-man backfield. It is J.K. Dobbins and RJ Harvey. The glass half empty is that RJ Harvey's workload didn't change whatsoever. So I'm not as panicked as the people here because I did kind of expect the long-term game here or the long game here with RJ Harvey. But to see J.K. Dobbins not only take the stranglehold, but then produce off of it, it does make you concerned a little bit that the breakout party for RJ Harvey is not going to happen until like at least week 8 or later. So I understand the concern, but I am going to continue having faith that RJ Harvey will be a second half of the year player, and that cutting ties or anything like that is just a little too overreactionary.
Yeah, it's all fun and games when you get to draft RJ Harvey as your running back 3, but then James Conner as your running back 2. You lose James Conner for the season, and I'm looking at RJ Harvey as my running back 3, and I'm like, well, I expected you. I didn't expect James Conner to be out for the season by the end of week 3, but also 2, I didn't expect RJ Harvey to be this uninvolved after a phenomenal 50-yard scamper in week 1. Like, let's not forget that. He showed explosiveness. He showed vision. He showed how he was able to hit the hole and cut back to hit the outside. This is one where I'm just kind of like confused. Like, J.K. Dobbins has been playing great, but why has Beatty been involved? Again, Batty, I don't know. What it seems like there's a rotation of the 3 going on with him, but I digress. Where are you at on the panic meter, Cameron? Because I'm just like confused. I don't really know what to think of RJ Harvey's value at this point.
Probably with the people. You talked about the 50-yard run, but that's scary in and of itself because that means that he has 12 carries for 30 yards on every other run this season, right? So we saw the explosiveness, but then every other time he gets the ball, he tries to bounce it outside, and that just hasn't worked. And when you have a guy like J.K. Dobbins who consistent last year, comes in, does the same thing this season, it's going to be hard for Sean Payton and the Broncos going, we have playoff aspirations. Let's move on to the rookie here who, yes, he's a home run hitter, but is he as consistent as J.K. Dobbins has been? For me, it's really concerning too. Only 10 routes run, right? You were hoping for a little bit more in the receiving game, get him out in the open, some design touches, right? Let's move off of Marvin Mims. Let's get it to RJ Harvey, who's a little more fun in space, and we just haven't seen it. So I don't know. It's going to be hard because you're going to be sitting on it for a while just on the end of your bench with no production. And in a redraft league, right, you just don't have the same amount of bench spaces. And so
No.
you're probably waiting until week 13 because their bye's week 12. And leading up to the bye, they go at Houston, Vegas, Kansas City. So you're hoping, hey, maybe Dobbins struggles going into the bye, and then Harvey gets some, integrated in the offense a little bit more. And for the fantasy playoffs, he comes back. But yeah, no, I don't have a ton of hope until then.
Are you looking to buy RJ Harvey at an uber ultra discount right now? Because people are massively disappointed. People are seeing J.K. Dobbins' performances. Like you said, Cameron, RJ Harvey can't even get involved in the receiving game. 5 receptions for 29 yards isn't like, it's not nothing through the first 3 weeks, but boy, for a guy of his skill set, you were hoping that would be at 10, 12 receptions through the first handful of weeks here. Are you like trying to buy an uber ultra dip on RJ Harvey? Or are you just kind of like, I'm just not going to mess with it? I'm not going to trade for him, but I'm also not going to trade him away.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to trade for him. I think, if anything, I'm just going to be watching the waiver wire, because how many more weeks is whoever has him right now going to be sitting on
That's
2
fair.
carries a game, 3 like I might, for me, I think I'd rather test that than, unless you got someone that you're just like, hey, take Tyrone Tracy, who's injured right now. And, like if they're really that desperate for it. So, I mean, if it was like I'm giving up nothing essentially, then yeah, but I don't think I'm going to go try and make a move for RJ Harvey right now.
Any interest from you, Ty? I mean, again, I'm not interested in acquiring Harvey for like 60 cents on the dollar. I'm looking, I would move 20 cents on the dollar for RJ Harvey, but even at that right now, 20 cents on the dollar, like it's probably an injured Tyrone Tracy.
Yeah, I think if I have the spot on my bench and I have a deep enough bench, then there is some consideration. But again, like you said, I'm not paying full price. I'm paying Kayshon Boutte for RJ Harvey and calling it good. And a 1-for-1, that's it. So I think it very much depends on your team. If you got a really shallow bench, you don't really have much wiggle room. RJ Harvey is not someone that like you need to go trade for right now.
Let's move on to the tight end position. We haven't talked about the tight ends yet this episode. This Travis Kelce is a fascinating one because, again, people are only at like 60% on the panic meter, maybe even closer to like 55, 60%. I'm trying to figure out if people are like just not recognizing we're probably going to get Xavier Worthy back next week and we only have 3 more games until Rashee Rice comes back. If that's just like going over people's heads, or if it's that, hey, like none of us are really that surprised by this. So how panicked can we actually be if this is what we are expecting? Right. Because that's also where I'm kind of at, where it's like, I don't know if I can say I'm panicked on Travis Kelce, but what we brought him up as a sell last week. Cam, you talked about him on the buy low, sell high episode. We talked about him on our short form content as well, being a sell. Like, I feel like this is something we've telegraphed since the end of last week, where it's like, hey, just get on Travis Kelce now, because we're only getting closer to the point where the Chiefs are getting all of their weapons back again. So where do you lie, Cameron? Like, how do you balance that? Are you actually panicked because this is probably what you were expecting? Or are you legitimately like, no, I think we could get a bounce back from Travis Kelce?
I really don't believe in much of a bounce back. I think we'll maybe get 1 or 2 more special Travis Kelce games, but I think it's this somewhere between 8 and 4 half PPR points for the rest of the season, which is just like almost every other tight end's going to give you. And that's the concern of there is nothing special to Travis Kelce at this point in his career, especially from a fantasy perspective. And so, yeah, I don't know if you can trade him for much, right? There's not like a tight end buy low opportunity that I'm like, yes, go do, unless, someone's desperate and has George Kittle, right? But he's, Kittle, you're still got to hold on till week 6 because he's on IR for. So, maybe that would be it. And you just stream till then, because it's going to be the same between Travis Kelce and whoever you're streaming. But yeah, I'm panicked from the sense that I don't think we're ever going to see those great games again.
Yes. Yep.
But like you said, you took him in the 8th round. It sucks, but it's not like, shoot, I just destroyed my whole team kind of a thing either.
Yeah, so maybe that's a good way to contextualize it, right? Cam's panic from the sense of, all right, it doesn't really seem like we're going to get that top 5 Travis Kelce again, like, there was a hope and a prayer for this year. So in that sense, I could see people being higher on the panic meter. But again, I'm just kind of in the sense of like, I feel like my answer is 50-50 because this is kind of what I was expecting. I honestly can't say I'm panicked when this is exactly what I was expecting. But that also doesn't mean you shouldn't take action on it.
Yeah, I think it really depends on just how the league has handled the tight end position, how your league has handled it, because we talked about this on the last trade targets episode, Cam and I, because Cam mentioned that Travis Kelce was a sell. And I was like, I don't hate the idea of Travis Kelce as a sell, but right now the tight end landscape is kind of a crapshoot. Outside of Tucker Kraft, outside of Juwan Johnson, Trey McBride, Jake Ferguson, like it's a crapshoot. You're gonna get some games with 8 points from somebody, and you're gonna get a game with 4, like Travis Kelce just did. So I think if you have the understanding that, yeah, Travis Kelce is not really going to be a top 5 guy anymore, but he can still be a low end tight end 1 for your team, that you're not going to drop him. If somehow you luck yourself into getting one of those top tight ends, then you can probably play him over Kelce. But I would also just throw some caution out there that like you can't necessarily just say, well, Travis Kelce is washed because he's not putting up the same fantasy points that he was 2 years ago. 2 years ago, Travis Kelce is an anomaly. Like you don't see that for tight ends really ever. So just put the proper context with Travis Kelce, and just that the upside days are probably over, but you can't necessarily move. And if you want to, you better have a really nice, package then for somebody that would be willing to give up one of their top tight ends.
Travis Kelce is the ultimate sweetener in my mind to any trade package, because I don't think you're going to get like a structured deal done around Travis Kelce. But if you're like, I just need a little bit more firepower in here, a little bit more name power, what if I could give up Travis Kelce, who's still like, hey, with Patrick Mahomes on the Chiefs offense, that's such an easy name to talk yourself into what if. Because then if you were to see Juwan Johnson in that same trade, you'd probably be like, hey, he's getting the targets right now, but he's on the Saints. But you get the little Travis Kelce, the Swift magic in there. I don't know. It might move the needle for somebody, right? So I don't think you're ever structuring a trade package around Travis Kelce, but I think he could be a sell in the sense, or is a sell in the sense of, I'm happy to include him in any trade package it takes to go upgrade at a position, because people still see that name, think, hey, he's still one of the best in the league. That's up for debate, but we won't get into that debate because we have more players to talk about. But I digress. I think that's how I'm looking at Travis Kelce moving forward. A player that maybe people aren't as excited about, but we were excited about early on in the season, fellas, or before the season, I should say, is Calvin Ridley of the Tennessee Titans. We all thought he could be in for a bounce back season, with Cam Ward now at the helm. The problem is, though, he has yet to give you more than 7.2 fantasy points in half PPR formats in a single game this year. 4.7 in week 1, 7.2 in week 2, 3.2 this last week. He's getting the volume, but the problem is he's well below a 50% catch rate once again this year. Only 1 catch on 7 targets this last week. So Cameron, it's not that the usage isn't there. The problem is, holy cow, can we please just get a ball to land in Calvin Ridley's hands? And can he please rack up 70 yards and a touchdown in a game? Like, it feels like that's what we're waiting on. And I think it's just going to take time with Cam Ward. It really is. Not that Ridley is 100% not at fault here for any of this, but I'll let you chime in here, because 1 for 7 for 27 last week, that's got my eyebrows raised a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not nearly where the people are. And again, I think ADP has a lot to play in this. Right, you took him as your wide receiver 3, some cases wide receiver 4, so you can be more patient, because you should have guys ahead of him. Obviously, like if you have some of these guys we were talking about, if you went T. Higgins and Marvin and Calvin Ridley, you're like, well, okay, this sucks because you're telling me I have to patient on everybody.
Should be at a 10 out of 10.
So I get that, but I want to say this. I'm going to compare him quick to advanced stance of Emeka Egbuka just to show where he's at. This is not me trying to say Egbuka's bad. He's been a miss so far for me. I am
good clarification.
I'm putting it out there. I'm still not convinced he's top 12, but he is a miss for me so far. Route percentage, Calvin Ridley has 1% more route percentage than him. Target share, Igbuka's at 21.2. Calvin's at 20.2. Expected fantasy points per game. Igbuka's at 38 points. Calvin Ridley's at 36. Obviously, expected fantasy points per game means absolutely nothing to your fantasy team because Igbuka's scoring and Calvin Ridley's not. But just trying to show, hey, these guys are close. It's just Calvin Ridley has a 40% catch rate. It's just not connecting with Cam Ward. I'm willing to be patient because Cam Ward looks good enough that I think these throws are going to start to happen. I think we're going to start to see it. Do I think he's going to be like Igbuka has been? I'm not saying that he's also going to shoot up to top 10 here because he does have Cam Ward, not Baker Mayfield right now, who's been on fire. But I do think that there's reasons to be optimistic about Calvin Ridley and be okay with the fact that, hey, it's kind of stunk. Maybe I don't start him next week, but I'm not trying to get rid of him for pennies on the dollar.
Ty, how concerned are you about Alec Iomanner making his position firm within this offense as well? Again, not that I'm saying it directly detracts from Calvin Ridley, but it plays a part in this. Cam Ward's been able to connect with Iomanner thus far and not with Calvin Ridley. It means something, but how much of something?
I think it has to matter, right? But to say that it totally like tanks Calvin Ridley or anything like that, I think is an overreaction.
Right.
I think the bigger problem, rather than just we got to get on the same page with Cam Ward, is we have a Brian Callahan problem here in Tennessee. Like Brian Callahan looks out of his depth, and he looks like, yes, there have been some shot plays like Alec Iomanner's toe tap catch. I think was that week 1, week 2, maybe. Awesome play, but everything else is pretty basic, pretty easy. Like it's almost like I was saying, like Drew Petzing calls plays to not lose. Brian Callahan is like, we have like shoulder pads and helmets and knee pads and training wheels and everything on right now. Like
double wrapped. Yep. Seriously.
Like I think until something changes here with how this offense is running, we're going to continue seeing these kind of games with Calvin Ridley where sure, he's going to be one of the top target getters on the team, but it's just not going to go anywhere because we're playing afraid. We're trying to ease something in when Cam Ward has talent and it has awesome traits that can feed a guy like Calvin Ridley. So it is just kind of a wait and see. I understand the panic, but I'm also maybe Brian Callahan gets canned and then we get an offense that just goes, Cam Ward, do your thing. Just show off a little bit. And if that happens, Calvin Ridley may be in for a little bit of a bounce back then.
Yeah, I think we just need to take a few deep breaths with Calvin Ridley, right? Let's remind ourselves where we actually took him in drafts and say, hey, it's not that big of a deal. There's still time with Calvin Ridley. Unless if, of course, like Cameron said, you drafted T. Higgins, Marvin Harrison Jr., and Calvin Ridley. And now you're like, well, I do need to panic a little bit. But for the most part, I think you can take a deep breath in, recognize there's still time here. It just hasn't been pretty right away. But thankfully, you should have options at this point. And Calvin Ridley isn't a dire enough of a piece where you have to be a little bit more reactionary. I think you can afford to be a little bit more patient with Calvin Ridley based on the construction of your fantasy football teams. Catch issues for Calvin Ridley. Fellas, we figured it out again this week. It's just catch issues for Brian Thomas as well. 6 targets, only catching 2 of them. I mean, it has been just an absolutely abysmal start to the season. I want to pull up a tweet from Kyle Borgnoni. Since 2000, Brian Thomas Jr.'s 28% catch rate is the lowest of any wide receiver to see 25 plus targets through the first 3 weeks. For you nerds out there, if you've been counting, that's 522nd out of 522 wide receivers. Not great, Bob. I'm saving Brian Thomas Jr. for last because we let off the show with him last week. So I didn't want to start off, we're just running the same names back. But this is worth a conversation, fellas. I feel like the people aren't that much higher. They're a little bit higher on the panic meter. They're right around 70-ish% now. I'm right there at 70%. I really am. Because as much as there's potentially a Liam Cohen and the offense figuring out its footing, getting established. At the same time, it's inexcusable to have a 28% catch rate.
I got to be honest. This one hurts that we're even having this discussion. I still hold firm in my belief in Brian Thomas figuring it out. I still hold firm in my belief in Liam Cohen figuring out. I was in on a Trevor Lawrence resurgence. I don't think we're necessarily going to get that, but I do think he's a capable enough quarterback to support Brian Thomas. I would call him a big buy low, and I would be buying low on him, but I have him on every team I have. So that kind of when your entire team is a bunch of buy lows. So if you're feeling that, we've kind of brought that up with Calvin Ridley. I understand because I'm in the same spot. So Brian Thomas, the good on Brian Thomas is he's still running the most routes on the team. He still has an air yard share comparable to Puka Nacua, A.J. Brown, and Justin Jefferson. So they're still utilizing him. They're still throwing him the ball. His target share is still upwards of 22%. He's still at 0.24 targets per
Is that
out.
good for Brian Thomas, though, 22%?
No, it's not great, but they're at least, they're still utilizing him. It's not like he's all of a sudden gone away. And so I understand it's all been bad. And I understand, hey, he doesn't look great. Lawrence doesn't look great. We don't really know what's going on with Jacksonville. I just continue to look at last year and I go, okay, this dude is talented enough that I believe he's going to figure it out. I'm willing to be patient, but I do understand, hey, the stuff we're seeing on the field right now is concerning. So he's another one. I'm probably only at like 50%.
Oh,
but I probably should be higher, right? Like I understand like conceptually watching everything that's going on with the drops, but I'm going to believe that, hey, this dude figures it out because he's talented enough. Liam Cohen's going to help him get there. And we're going to see some of these big spike weeks come back for Brian Thomas. And maybe he's not quite wide receiver 10, but I don't think he's going to be outside the wide receiver, 15, 20. So I don't think that the bottom falls out, but I will admit, I don't think the ceiling where I thought he was going to be is there as well.
This dude is just too freaking talented after what we saw him put out on tape last season for him to start out this season this poorly. Ty, I'll maybe ask you the question, who is to blame here? Because that's what it feels like. It feels like we're starting to point fingers, but it can be pointed at about 3 or 4 different people between Brian Thomas Jr., between Liam Cohen getting this offense on its feet, between Trevor Lawrence as well. And I'm not going to pretend he's not at fault for some of the balls he's been throwing Brian Thomas's way, but I don't know. Who is it? Who are you primarily pointing the finger at?
I think the easy answer and probably the correct answer is actually Brian Thomas Jr. Because I think we all believe in the talent that is Brian Thomas Jr., that with a play caller like Liam Cohen, when Cohen puts you in a role, it's because he sees you excelling in that role. But I do think it's interesting. When you look at the entirety of last year, 36% of Brian Thomas's targets were over the middle of the field, were between the numbers. This year so far through 3 games, I know sample sizes are very different, but through 3 games, 64% of Brian Thomas's targets are between the numbers. So he is being utilized differently than he was last year. So sure, should some of the blame go to Liam Cohen that he's putting Brian Thomas in a spot that he may not be the most or the best utilized in? Sure. But I think that's where I go back to, again, we think that Brian Thomas Jr. is uber talented, that he can excel in most roles that a coach would put him in, including this one that Liam Cohen has him in. So this is worrying to me that the usage or that the role has changed this much. And Brian Thomas, I will never question the effort. So I can't necessarily say we're getting low effort for Brian Thomas Jr. But gosh, man, there's a lot that has changed. And with the amount of drops that he's had so far as well, there's a lot of trust lost probably at this point that we need to work back as well. So I'm not sure if I can get to the 70-ish% that the people are at right now, but man, it's alarming because your second round pick is nowhere near returning that value right now.
Cam, maybe I can't decide if maybe you're the best person to ask this question or the worst person to ask this question. But Brian Thomas Jr. is going to be debated whether he's a buy low or just like a complete avoid entirely. What is a trade offer you would accept? Like the lowest you would accept for Brian Thomas Jr. right now?
To get rid of him?
To get rid of him.
Oh, that's a good question.
Because you and I both know you're not recuperating anywhere close to 100% value on him right now.
No, not right now. And that's I'd really struggle. I mean, if somebody wanted to give me like Nico Collins, I don't think they would.
No, not after this week.
Man.
Devonta Smith, your boy?
No, I'm not near there. If
Tyreek?
No.
Oh, there you go. There's a name. Tyreek.
A whole nother Brian Thomas.
It's a whole nother Brian Tom brother. At least he's catching touchdowns.
Yeah. I don't know. I honestly don't know if I'm at a price. You know, if somebody's like,
you'd be willing to accept a trade.
Yeah, just because you're going to be paying so low. Like if somebody was worried about like CeeDee Lamb not coming back, I'd maybe take, the unknown of CeeDee Lamb maybe missing 3 weeks, or Brian Thomas right now.
He's set to miss 2-3 weeks for sure.
So. Yeah, so maybe something like that. And even then, I don't know if I would do that. Yeah, it's been so gross though that you're so down at this point. I don't know. Maybe it's just a sunk cost just because I have him in so many places that I'm still dealing with that. I'd give him 2 weeks to kind of bounce back. But yeah, I don't know. It's tough because I really don't know if there's a player that I would feel comfortable making that trade for right now.
Did you have 2, Ty? You had 2 that you wanted to throw out there.
Garrett Wilson.
Oh, hello, 40% target share. The target share bros have won with Garrett Wilson.
I think, I wouldn't want to, but I think that's probably a good one. I think, yeah, Garrett Wilson to be, and I don't even know if people would, the comments might go, the comments are like, I don't think I'd give up Garrett Wilson for Brian Thomas. There might be a lot of people, and I don't know if I'd blame them necessarily right now, but I think I'd take Garrett Wilson.
And then how about the guy that's actually tied with Brian Thomas Jr. right now on a per game basis, Drake London?
I'm taking Drake just because he's getting the targets. I mean, I guess Brian Thomas is as well. Wow, I don't know. I'm so high on both of them. I think I'm going to take Drake London because we've at least seen a game of 8 catches on 15 targets. But Penix did look. I mean, Penix lost against the lineup, and so.
Which isn't good. That's not good. You're looking.
No, I mean that's about as bad as it gets. So, yeah, I think I would lean London slightly, but they're pretty 50-50 for me because I've been so high on both of them.
Well, if you want to let us know what you think of Brian Thomas Jr., what you would actually be willing to trade him for right now, or what you would even be willing to give up for Brian Thomas Jr. right now to call your shot, let us know down in the comments below. If you want a chance to influence the meter in future weeks as well, make sure you're following us over on Instagram, the FF Fellas over there. We post those polls either late Sunday night after Sunday Night Football or first thing Monday morning for a chance for you all to get your opinions in time for our recording. You can follow our other socials as well, FF Fellas over on X, Fantasy Football Fellas over on Facebook and TikTok as well. Over on the shorts, if you're a YouTube person through and through, Fantasy Football Fellas shorts over there. Follow our personal socials too. I'm at Lucas Wenzel on X, Camlaw FFF for Cameron, Tyler_Plath for Ty. YouTube will be back tomorrow for some buy low, sell high conversation, and we'll all be back on Thursday this week to help you set those lineups, 18 different players, whether you should be starting or sitting them to influence, to change the outcome of your week 4 matchup. Whether you're 0-3, 3-0 right now, I hope you stick around. Appreciate you all. We'll see you later this week. Deuces.
Deuces.